Hello and welcome to the Hard Questions. I'm Solomon Serwanja. On this episode, I host the Managing Director of the National Water and Sewerage Corporation, Dr. Engineer Silva Mugisha. And on this show, we speak about everything National Water. Recently, this organization celebrated 50 years of existence. And of these 50 years, Dr. Mugisha has been here for 30 years. And of course, spending 10 years at the helm of the National Water and Sewerage Corporation. Dr. Mugisha, thank you so much for accepting to speak to us.
Thank you, Solomon. I'm happy to speak to you.
How can you account for your 10 years at the helm of National Water?
10 years, the achievements would overflow if I mentioned them. I'll just mention a few. Just in line with the mandate of National Water, when we came in, we had to bring in some paradigm shift because hitherto the emphasis had been on serving people, they pay, and you make some profit. When we came in, we said that beyond just making profits, we need to emphasize service delivery to as more Ugandans as possible. So National Water was in 23 towns when I came in. We are now talking of 270 towns. National Water was serving about 4.5 million Ugandans. We are now talking of 18 million Ugandans whom we are serving. National Water had about 6,500 kilometers of pipeline. We now have 22,000 kilometers of pipeline. That is more people served. Our assets under management were 650 billion. Assets under management now is 4.2 trillion Uganda shillings. So there has been massive expansion, massive growth, and we even see much more growth coming in the future.
Yeah, and certainly while you've tried to spread it, there's still a big challenge of access to clean water in other parts of the country. Yeah, I mean, get out of Kampala. I stay in Chabakadde. We don't have water from National Water. Of course, there is the umbrella project that you're trying to connect us with. Sometimes the water is there, sometimes it's not there. And so are other communities. Wakiso East is also struggling with access to water. Clearly, there is still an urgent need that is not yet met.
Yes. The job that has been done is a lot. The job to do is still a lot, to serve as many Ugandans as possible. I told you that we now serve 18.5 million Ugandans out of 46 million Ugandans. So clearly, if we are to serve more Ugandans, there is a lot of work to do. The areas you are talking about are part of those. Wakiso, for example, Wakiso is a little bit far from the service area of Kampala Water, and it is water stressed. That's why we are planning a project from Sazi on Lake Victoria, which will come, serve part of Entebbe, along the Entebbe Expressway, go to Wakiso and Mpigi. So a lot of work still has to be done. The funding is being planned. We've designed. We are on detailed design now. Very soon we shall go for construction, the real construction. Even in Kampala here, there is still a lot of work to be done. We now have a lot of water available, but the conveyance system to the people is not yet enough. Very soon we are going to launch a construction project to take water where we put it in the reservoirs to reach the people. So there's a huge network rationalization project that we have planned. But sewage is also another part.
That one is a big component of this interview. We'll talk about it.
That's a big component, and I think it requires a little bit of a separate discussion.
Yeah.
Now, going to other towns, a lot of work still has to be done there. Mind you, the middle of the towns is served well, but the neighborhoods, the rural neighborhoods, are not properly served. So I will summarize all this and say a lot of work has been done, a lot of work still needs to be done to reach as many Ugandans as possible.
Well, we still have some challenges of course, like you've said, you've done some work and there's a lot to be done. Out of the water that you pipe, about 40% of that water goes through non-revenue, I think they call it non-revenue water.
Yes.
That water is not accounted for. You basically don't receive payment for it. 60%, yes, you collect the money, 40% you don't. The last time I checked on your accounts, it was about 40 billion. That's quite a lot of water. What explains this?
Well, the topic of non-revenue water can be confusing, especially for people who don't know water economics. It is true in the water business, you have to lose some water because this water has to pass through pipes. You have to measure it, so the pipes can leak. The measurement systems can be inaccurate. And in Africa, it is even worse because people can steal the water. You bring the water thinking that you have supplied the person just connects before it and takes free water. The water can also be lost by people fetching it under the guise of firefighting, but they get it, they go and sell it. So you lose water. So losing water is not an uncommon phenomenon in water management and leadership. The problem is if it becomes excessive.
40%?
40% in Kampala. Last month, I think it was about 35%. It is reducing, but it is still high here in Kampala. In other regions, like in Western region, it's about 20%. In Northern region, I think it's about 22%. In Eastern region, it's in the range of 21%. So it's around there. The issue we have is Kampala here. Kampala here, non-revenue water is high.
Can we say that that water is stolen?
There are many causes of non-revenue water, especially here in Kampala. One, water leakages. When you see water leaking, the pipe leaking, that is water that is being lost. Two, illegal connections. People tapping behind our meter illegally, putting it under the pavement, and you cannot detect. Three, measurement, the meter itself. Now, the meters we are using have a problem. These are traditional mechanical meters. The modern meter is the one which uses ultrasonic technology, the one which is able to detect flows even at lower velocities. The meters we have throughout the entire network of national water are mechanical meters which don't register at a lower flow rate. And as you know, at night, people are sleeping, the flow rate is low, that rate is not measured. And as a result, the corporation loses water. We are now exploring a technology called AMR technology, automatic meter reading technology, which uses ultrasonic and magnetic technology. That one is able to detect the smallest flow that goes through the meter. That is detecting the flow. But there is also the guys, the customers, the unscrupulous people, especially here in Kampala. They have now discovered means of tampering with our meters. When you are not there seeing, they tamper with the meter, they stop it from working, they just wait when you are about to come to read the meter, they leave it. When you come, you think it is okay. When it's not okay, when the meter has caused you to lose water. So when we put this AMR technology, which AMR means automatic meter reading, we can watch it from the office. We see how the consumption has been going. You tamper with it, you reduce it, we shall know that you have reduced it. Fortunately, we have a very enabling legislation. The Water Act we have, the National Water Act we have, those are acts of parliament, enable us to be able to estimate realistic consumption, especially when we detect that you tampered with consumption. So those are three areas: leakages, illegal connections, measurement errors, and lastly, this so-called authorized consumption, the consumption for firefighting. We normally leave police to get water when there is fire for them to fetch water. But sometimes they abuse it. And not only them, but even the other private water tankers. They go to our hydrants, they fetch water. Police, you would think they are going to fight a fire, but they go and sell it in those places.
So basically, police is selling water, stealing and selling.
No, don't confuse this. It is not Uganda Police Force. It is individuals within Uganda Police Force. Because we are in touch with the IGP. We are in touch with the Director of Fire Brigade. We have raised these issues to them. Of course, we work with the other security agencies. We've raised the issues that you have some fellas who are under the guise of fighting fire. They get water from our systems, they go and sell it. And I'm very happy, and I want to thank the IGP for coming up and showing leadership and saying that this cannot continue, we must stop it. So the people who have been caught have been placed under disciplinary action, and so we are managing that situation.
I wanted us to go a little bit back on the new meters that you're saying you're exploring.
Yes.
So you're basically going to be installing new meters.
Yeah.
When is this? Tell us a little bit more about that, and when are you starting?
We have already got ultrasonic meters. Ultrasonic meters are clamp-on meters. What we are doing now, we come, especially with suspected consumers whom we know must be tampering with our meter. There are some, by the way, who even open the meter, they tamper with the mechanical arrangements, so that when the water flows, the meter is recording slowly. A lot of water is used. 2,000 cubic meters of water goes through the meter. Only 1,000 is able to be recorded. So we have now bought these ultrasonic meters. They are clamp-on. We clamp on it. We take measurements for, say, 6 hours. We compare it with what the other meter is reading. And that is able to help us to introduce a correction factor in the measurement of the meter. The other technology, so we already have those ultrasonic meters now. We are doing a pilot, and when we get results, they are going to enable us to determine the next steps. The other one is we want to order for AMR meters, automatic meter reading meters. These ones we want to start, we're going to do a pilot in 2 phases. The first pilot is going to be 30 meters. Installing them at different sizes of customers, monitor for, say, 2 months, 2 or 3 months. We see how that one is. Then we scale up the pilot to maybe 100, 200 meters. Once this pilot convinces us that the meters we have a problem of under-measuring, then we should be able to scale up this to the entire system of national water so that we can be able to manage this issue of under registration of meters.
Well, Dr. Mugisha, I don't know if I should be optimistic on that, especially about the 17 billion scandal that you and National Water was reported in the media for procuring fake meter readers. I know that the IGG started to do her investigations. Should we then trust that you get the right meters, and how did that scandal end?
The scandal of 17 billion Uganda shillings about prepaid meters was overhyped by you, the media, I think, the social media. The thing is, that procurement was about $800,000 US. That's about 2.4 billion. We bought meters, yes. It was a new technology to us, yes. It had issues. Fortunately, we had not paid the supplier. So we had to halt it. We carried out a comprehensive engineering audit of these meters, and we were able to remedy the effects. So the corporation did not lose any money. Fortunately, the little money we had paid, we had to withhold it from other supplies of this supply. So, and that taught us many things. When something goes right or bad, it teaches you lessons so that whatever you are going to do next, you do it much better. So this technology, why you shouldn't get worried is that we are going to pilot. We are going to start small. We start small. Each meter is about I think 2 million. 2 million times 30, that's about 60 million. So if you lose 60 million in the process of wanting to stop a loss of over 20 billion, I don't think that's a problem. But now, with that those lessons we learned, I don't think the risks are going to be as high as it was. Because that time, this technology was completely new to us.
Yeah, and it spoke about doing due diligence before procurement.
Due diligence is just an academic exercise. Even if you went to the factory and saw these meters, you are new to these meters. Even if you went there, what would you do? Apart from enjoying tickets, going to those countries and be happy, what are you going to see, you, the person who has not been having this technology, going to see a technology of somebody who has been having it for a long time? I think the most important thing is to take all the due care you can, to use your engineers. We have now capacitated our engineers. They are fairly trained in this technology. So we should, to the extent that we had even tried to invent our own technology, and which we need to take to a different level. So I think we now have much better and stronger mechanisms of risk management compared to how we were about 8 years ago when we bought prepaid meters.
Interesting. Let's talk about, on the 60% of the money that you collect and the challenges of raising finances. We have been, we have been researching, and one of the things that stood out for us is that government entities are not paying you for the water they consume.
Yes.
I mean, this is terrible. You have
I think this
organizations like the Uganda Police, the UPDF, and all these institutions, government institutions, not paying for national water, and yet you actually supply. If you look at your debt books, they clearly speak this out.
Yeah, they speak it out. But I hope I can give you some mathematics. Every month, I think we bill about 5 billion government, and that means a year is about 60 to 70 billion. And if this government was not paying for the last 10 years, they would be owing us 700 billion Uganda shillings. But as I talk, they owe us only 60 billion. That means they have been paying the larger part of their bills and not paying something which has now accumulated into arrears. So I am going to thank government.
You're being political.
No. I'm not being political. I'm being factual.
But the fact is that they have not paid water worth 60 billion.
Yes, over a period of time. Ever since national water started, government has not paid 60 billion. And I don't think you want to argue and say, ever since national water started, we have only billed 60 billion. We have billed in trillions of money, and government has paid. They are only not paid 60 billion. We are engaging with government. We know the economic hardships every sector is facing, including government. So, but for me, what pleases me is that the willingness to pay is there. The affordability to pay by government is the one which is a bit constrained. But I think that is even temporary. If it was not because of this COVID, the situation would have been much better.
Dr. Mugisha, when I default on my water, I am disconnected. This government has defaulted to a tune of 60 billion. Including organizations or including bodies like the Uganda Police, the UPDF, disconnect them.
Actually, I need to bring this perspective to you again. The only institutions not paying is actually Uganda Police, prisons, and defense. All the other government institutions are paying. So it means it is simply a question of budgeting for those three institutions, which we are now addressing with government. The other time we met His Excellency the President and raised the issue of non-payment of those three institutions. He clearly, first of all, he directed that this money should be paid, and secondly, he gave guidance on how future escalation of bills can be stopped. Well, I think the misconception has been that when we put prepaid meters there, these bills will not accumulate. But we put prepaid meters. All these institutions I've talked about actually have prepaid meters. The issue is under budgeting. If you under budget, for example, for police in Zambia. If you under budget, for example, for Rosera prisons, and you have a prepaid meter there, and it cuts the credit when it is finished, what do you expect those prisoners to do? What do you expect those policemen to do? They are supposed to be, their water is paid by government, but if government has under budgeted, you simply cannot offload all this burden to those fellows. So this is the discussion, this is the dialogue we are having with the government. That this water you have consumed and not paid, we have already paid electricity, we have already paid chemicals, we have even paid VAT on this. You have paid to government VAT, and the government has not paid the bills. And this can constrain the cash flows, it can constrain our investment plans here at the national.
Yeah, and cash flows is very important.
Is
so what are you going to do for them? Have you given them enough grace period that the next time is action?
No. There are some administrative measures we have taken with the PSST. I want to thank him for working with us and ensuring that amidst these challenges, we have a way through. My finance people have worked out an arrangement whereby we can get this money, and then the government is going to budget for it in 2 or 3 financial years. Hopefully they can be able to pay. We always pray. When we go to church, that's what we pray for.
This is beyond prayer. This is meeting your obligation to pay to pay for the water that you use. We've heard of scandals of people within national water stealing water, understanding how the system is done and beating the system internally.
You see, I know what you are referring to, the other story of inflating bills. I think that story was not, it is illogical if you look at it. You started by asking me how we are losing almost 40% of the water in Kampala here. You are now talking of overbilling. So how do I put 100 units in the system and I'm only able to build 60 units and I lose 40 and you say I'm overestimating? No. That's not the issue. The issue is these meters on these premises are simply under-reading our consumption. So some of these guys, I think they referred in that story, were trying to check what is happening. But they did it a little bit unprofessionally, and administrative action was taken on them. But the law empowers us to come and check what has happened to this meter. Why is it not reading what it is supposed to read? And it is not only those 3 or 4 accounts. It is widespread. It is widespread. I have evidence with me of some customers playing with the meter, stopping it from reading for some time, and ending up cheating the corporation. So some of these things, discoveries we have got in the field, they have now informed us on how to deal with this underbidding. It is actually, we are not overbidding, we are underbidding.
But sometimes clearly, when you look at the meter readings and the bill that is given to you, sometimes it's shocking. I mean, there's been a time when I was given a bill of 300,000 shillings for water. I couldn't believe it.
Yes.
You know, so sometimes as clients, I think sometimes they are justified to ask for accountability on how did this money actually come up.
Can I tell you what? 300,000, that's about 30 units of water, 30 to 40 units of water per month. That's a lot of water you are using.
Exactly.
Units is about 1 unit per day. 1 unit per day is about 50 jerrycans of water. You have to be careful the way you use water in your house.
No, but sometimes, I mean, that's exactly my point.
Solomon, if I can tell you, and if you have a camera in your bathroom, send me a picture of how you brush your teeth. You will find, you open the tap, you are busy brushing, the water is what? Is going down. I don't know if you have these flushing systems in your house. You have to be careful. You have to be careful what your house people at home do. There are some homes where when you leave, the housemaids the boys at home, they just give water to the neighbors. 30 units is quite a regular thing. Where situations have arisen, and where I think we need to, as a corporation, offer after sales service, is when you have a leakage after the meter, which you don't know, and then you wake up, you find the bill is 3 million. When it has always been 200,000, it becomes 3 million. That is where the issue can be. But I can tell you, when this issue was overhyped on social media, we carried out a questionnaire with our customers in Kampala. Over 10,000 customers were sampled at random. And 70 to 80% of them are happy with the bills they receive. They are happy with the meter readings. So it means the 20 or something percent which is not happy, there must be some localized problems. And our system here is such that if you have a problem, you raise it to us. We deal with it. There's no problem.
I hope so. I really, really hope so. Let's talk about national water raising. You have an expansion plan. And I think this was also unveiled when you are celebrating 50 years. Could you maybe give us pointers to that plan? What do you envision to do over the next 10 to 20 years?
It's good you have asked that very practical question. Some people ask me, what do you intend to do for the next 50 years? And I find such a question very theoretical. But your question of a realistic time plan is a very good one. Now, there are 3 or 4 perspectives to that. One is, where do we actually want to go? What we want to do is, of course, to make sure we raise the number of people we serve from 18.5 to over 25 million. In the next 5 years, and maybe in the next 10 years, we should have gone to 30 million. Now, that is the plan. But how shall we do it? We have, first of all, to look for funding for this. How shall we look for funding? It has to be characterized by low-cost investment financing. Now, we've gone a big stride in that area. First of all, we've seen that the money we get as loans from development partners, bilateral and multilateral, can be quite expensive for us. They come with a low interest rates, but in terms of implementation, they can be quite costly in terms of the contractors we use. What we've now agreed is we are going to use a blended approach, whereby there are some investments which are carried out on our own, going to the financial market and getting our own money, like the one we have just recently got, 95 billion. 95 billion, which we got from the local banks here, is going to help us take water to Chankwanzi, is going to help us take water to Karungu, is going to help us take water to Riantonde, Churuhura, all that part.
Can I just stop you there? Did you say that you went to commercial banks and borrowed money?
Yes. And we are proud about it, that National Water has the capacity to tell these banks that we need money, and they come rushing to give us money on the basis of our corporate balance sheet.
Well, I thought it's a government entity that has to fully be funded.
It's a government entity with the capacity to borrow on its own.
It's quite unique.
Yes. We are a unique institution.
Wow.
We are one of the few African water companies that can ask for money from the financial market, and it is given to us on the basis of our corporate balance sheet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're saying through that loan, you're going to be extending water.
We are going to be extending water. The plan we have, for example, of this 95 billion, we're extending water to Karungu, Chankwanzi, Churuhura Riantonde, Bushenyi, Chihihi, Moroto, Tororo, Soroti, Rira. That's what I want to take water. And we have already signed contracts for Karungu, for Chankwanzi, for Bushenyi, for Chiruhura, Riantonde, for Soroti. We are yet to do Tororo, Moroto, Rira, and Chihi.
Interesting.
Yes.
This is over a period of 10 years.
No, 7.
7 years.
7 years. And we are paying very comfortably, paying. If it was not an issue of, government is not paying its bills on time, other customers are not stealing water, our capacity to get our own money will be high. But this does not preclude the requirement for government to continue to help us with these huge investments. Because if we went to finance huge investments on our own, we would have to raise the tariff. And we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I was going. Some people have complained that the water is very expensive per unit, and that you need to lower it down a little bit to make it more accessible. Yes, you can make it available, but do people actually access it? You will find that because people don't have money, they will actually go and get water from a well, and yet there's clean water. Are there plans to revise the tariffs?
First of all, the tariff we have has never been revised since 2004. Since 2004, the national water tariff has never been revised. The tariff is only indexed to prevent it against inflationary effects, foreign exchange, power costs. Those are the main drivers of indexation. But the real value of the tariff has never changed. And what is it now? A jerrycan of water for these public standposts is 25 shillings. 25 shillings, including taxes and service fee. For you and me, domestic consumers, it's about 86 shillings per jerrycan. For commercial people, these people who use it to wash down and what, it's about 100 shillings per jerrycan. For industries, it is subsidized. It's about 58 shillings per jerrycan. The cost of production of producing water on average is about 71 shillings per jerrycan. So you can clearly see that public standposts and industries are charged below the production cost, and that is being subsidized by domestic institutions and commercial consumers. Very good formula, because national water exists to also promote industrial growth in the country, and that's why the industrial tariff is subsidized. National water also exists to make sure that everybody gets water, including the poor person. That's why the low-income person is subsidized. Now, Solomon, the biggest question you should be asking is, how about the other Ugandan who doesn't have piped water? Who is paying 2,000 per jerrycan, 3,000 per jerrycan? I think that's where the question should be for public policy.
But it's your role to take water to them. It's your job as national.
It's your role to ask the right questions also. The right question you should be asking is, why is the tariff for national water low, and those people who doesn't have water are paying a lot of money? The answer is, we have a water for all agenda here in national water. That is what characterizes all our corporate plans here, water for all. So we want to make sure those who haven't got, get. So if I were you, I would not be worried with those who have. I would be much more worried with those who don't have. Because what is the purpose of water? To prevent waterborne diseases, to promote economic growth. So how are you promoting and preventing diseases with those who don't have? I think that's where public policy should focus, not on these rich people who already have, and we are now agitating how their tariff is high. The issue, and as far as national water is concerned, is this Ugandan who hasn't got water, how does he get it?
Let's talk about, and you mentioned that, and my mind went directly to Kasese. The people of Kasese are using a lot of water from River Nyamwamba, which is heavily polluted by metal.
Yes, copper.
Copper, aluminium, and so many studies have showed that they've had health implications to that. Access to clean water in Kasese. What's the plan for national water for the people in Kasese?
We have water in Kasese. Our water, fortunately, does not come from down River Nyamwamba. It comes from up in the hills. It comes, when you leave what is this hotel, Margarita Hotel, and continue up. You leave Kirembe, you go up on the hill. We have a water treatment plant there, and the water comes through a series of break pressure tanks to Kasese. The issue we should be dealing with is, first of all, sensitization. Sensitize those people and say, where you have national water, use national water. Don't leave national and go to the other free water in Nyamwamba, River Nyamwamba. I think that's where the issue is. And then, on our part, we need to work harder and make sure that we increase the coverage to 100%, which is not at the moment. What we are trying to do in Kasese is to also add another line, because I think the water supply, the water availability had reduced. So we are trying to add another line of water. We identified another source in the hill there. So we are bringing it so that we can have more water available and more water supply to Kasese municipality.
Wow. I hope the people of Kasese can, dream on and wait on you to expand the reach.
Yes, they should start by, first of all, utilizing more of national water and less of that untreated water from River Nyamwambu. And those whom we have not reached, we are working around the clock to see how we can increase coverage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. As before we conclude this interview, and this is a little bit maybe personal, there was a dossier that went around that red flagged you as promoting nepotism and tribalism at National Water by recruiting your tribesmen in high positions at National Water here. I want to hear it from you. Is this true? Because that was a whistleblower within the agency, the corporation. I wanted to hear your reaction to those allegations.
Well, National Water was recently called to Equal Opportunities Commission, and the question we were answering was, how are you distributed regionally in National Water? I was told informally that we presented the best report. We did not have queries about the distribution of people as far as different regions are concerned. I would just come to top management for you. The MD, is myself. You can say Western. We have my deputy. One is from Western Nile. The other one is from Toro. The other one is from Kavari. From there, you have the level of senior directors. We have the project person is from Ntungam, rather Rwampara. The one of engineering is from Ngoma. Ngoma is which one? Is Central, I think. You have the one of IT, head of IT and business solutions, is from Eastern, is Musoga. You have the director of internal audit is from Japadora, is from Eastern. You have the head of PR, who is here, is from Teso. You have the head of commercial, is from Teso. You have the head of Kampala, because Kampala is the head is also a big person, is from Buganda here. You have the head of business and scientific services is the Munyori, from Tororo. You have the head of finance, director of finance, is from Guru. So where is the regional imbalance people are talking about? I think those are people who are naturally having a mindset of tribalism, and they want to bring it anywhere. They would want to bring it. So here we are regionally balanced. The way we recruit follows our human resource manual, and we don't have any problem at all.
Okay. As we conclude, 10 years is expiring in August.
Yeah.
Do you want another term?
Well, what do you think?
You tell me.
What I know is the contract I have now says that because the appointment of the Managing Director of National Water is stipulated in Section 16 of the National Water Act, which says there shall be a managing director appointed by the board for 5 years on terms and conditions of service established by the board in the appointment instrument. My appointment instrument says I have 5 years subject to renewable, subject to satisfactory performance. Now, the board will look at my performance, whether it is satisfactory. If they say they want to renew it, it will be up to me to accept it or not.
So you leave it to the board?
It is always the board, according to the law.
Do you want to stay in office?
I want to serve Ugandans.
But perhaps before we go, I had forgotten one more thing. Sewage. Dr. Mugisha, the rains are back.
Yes.
If you're moving around this city, sewage is spilling. Clearly, you might have performed on the issue of extension of national water, but on the subject of sewage, you are below performance.
No, we are not below performance at all, actually. We've done a great job on sewage, especially in the last 10 years. We have Rubiji, sewage treatment plant. I hope you see it. If you have not seen it, when you leave Boise, as you go along the northern bypass, you'll see a very nice system there. You can even hold a picnic there. That's a new system. We have Chinawataka, a new system there, sewage system, pre-treatment plant. We have here at Bugorobi a new modern sewage treatment plant.
I saw you launching it recently.
Able to even produce power. 70% of its power requirements are produced by own selves. Modern system. We are now constructing another system in Narukorongo. So through these decentralized sewage treatment facilities, we shall now be able to put the sewerage network, which can be able to drain sewage in those areas. Remember, the sewage system in Africa generally, it is normally a combination of sewers and on-site sanitation facilities. The issue in Kampala here, by and large, people have their own domesticated sewage handling facilities. What they don't have is when you dislodge, when you remove the sewage there, where do you take it? And that's why we have this facility in Narukorongo we are constructing, Robiji, here at Ogorobi here. So the sludge handling facilities, we're investing so heavily in that so that people have where they can dislodge. Now, where it is impossible to put domesticated on-site systems, like here in town, this one is 100% sewered. Here in Kampala, here is 100%. In the middle, in the central business district, is 100% sewered. In the other neighborhoods, we're going to pass sewers, but people will be at liberty to either stay with their on-site sanitation systems or connect to our systems where they feel like. So a lot of work is going on. It is always appropriate technology that works for sewage. Sewage is not like water.
Yeah, but how many people have you connected to the national sewer line?
We have over...
Clearly,
we have about 35,000 connections connected on sewage.
New connections?
No, the total sewage connections we have in Kampala here. And this is a plan to improve when we finish the Narukorongo system and we put some sewers there. But as I've told you, it is not an issue of how many connections do you have. It is an issue of how many spaces have you created for people who have on-site sanitation facilities to be able to put the dislodging material when they get it from their septic tanks. I think that's the strategy we are pursuing.
I think we should pursue a better strategy of connecting people to the sewer lines. Imagine having cars with all this, sludge, having to empty septic tanks and then drop it in Narukorongo, and I think we're really moving on from there.
I think you are discussing an issue of luxury and convenience. But if we are discussing an issue of what works,
But isn't that where the world is going, Dr. Silva?
See a sewage truck in town, I think that can be discussed differently. But for me, I think we are looking at water being for promoting health And proper sanitation being also playing a role in promoting health. So if we can be able to collect the sewage, treat it, do a pre-treatment system at home, and then you allow national water to come and pick it and take it to a space where it can treat it properly, I think that is comprehensive enough for comprehensive health improvement in the country.
I don't know if I agree with you on that, because the world is going
We learn every day.
away from that. We cannot continue like that.
By the way, even in Europe, that's how it works.
I think in Europe they have connected them. There's
No,
national sewer.
no. You normally see those farmlands. You think in those farmlands there is sewage coming from there? They have their own localized sewage treatment systems. You can learn every day.
Okay. Thank you very much, Engineer Dr. Silva Mugisha, for speaking to us.
Thank you, Solomon.
Well, I have been speaking with Engineer Dr. Silva Mugisha, who is the Managing Director at the National Water and Sewerage Corporation. I'm Solomon Serwanja, and this is The Hard Questions.